Hey folks, David Stewart here. I'm going to talk about video games, AAA flops. But before I get to that, don't forget to check out the newest Zool album. You can actually watch it for free, live performances for free down below in the Zool channel. You can click that, or you can buy it off of Bandcamp, which I very much appreciate those of you who have parted with your hard-earned money to have that 160 minutes of music with that album. Now, another AAA game bites the dust. AAA live service game, AAA live service shooter bites the dust. Now, I'm talking about Highguard, but by the time this comes out, this may also be talking about Marathon from Bungie Software, which every time I see the new Marathon game, I'm like, what does this have to do with Marathon? Because the Marathon trilogy was a trilogy of shooters from the 90s that looked nothing like what we're getting. I guess tomorrow is when the new Marathon game is coming out. I haven't bought it because I think it looks pretty atrocious, like visually. I just don't want anything to do with it. But maybe you're excited about it, and you could tell me whether it sucks or not. Highguard is what I really want to talk about, and let's go ahead and find it real quick. They put out a release, the game shutting down on March 12th. It just came out. It's Concord all over again. How does this keep happening? I have some theories. You can check this little announcement out on Twitter. Today we're sharing difficult news. We made the decision to permanently shut down Highguard on March 12th. Since launch, more than 2 million players stepped into Highguard's world. You shared feedback, created content, and many believed in what we were building. For that, we are deeply grateful. Despite the passion and hard work of our team, we have not been able to build a sustainable player base to support the game long term. Servers will remain online until March 12th. We hope you'll jump in with us one more time and show your support and get those final great matches in while we still can. The team is excited to release one final update to enjoy in the remaining life of the game. We'll be adding a new warden, new weapon, account level progression, and skill trees. Full patch notes are coming, and we're targeting tonight or tomorrow morning for patch release. From all of us at Wildlight, thank you for playing, supporting us, and for being part of Highguard's story. So, why did this game fail, just like Concord? And there's a lot of reasons, same reasons that Concord failed. It's a game that's releasing into a pretty saturated genre, a genre that really was something hot 5, 6, maybe even 10 years ago. And even if it's a very well-made game, like I didn't think Concord looked like a terribly made game, even though I didn't like the visual style. And this one may be really well done. Any live service game has to not only be good, it has to be very much better than the competition. It has to be so much better than the competition. Everyone quits playing the competitor's game and starts playing your game. And therein lies the problem, is that when it comes to live service games, there's two camps. There's Lindy and there's losers. There's the people who are winning and have always won and always will win. Sometimes this could be disrupted, or sometimes there's like a middle ground, which is like the contender. And then there's the losers. There's all the other games that are maybe hanging on by the skin of their nails, or they're not profitable, or they're like Highguard, they release and they die very quickly. 2 million people played Highguard, but that's not enough to make enough money to pay for the game, to pay for the development costs of the game, or to pay for the ongoing costs of the game, because you have to have servers, you have to have all of that infrastructure that you pay for regularly in order for a live service game to work. Why do AAA games make these live service games in genres that are already saturated? What's that about? Well, I think it's, I hate to use the term, I don't hate to use it, the term bean counter, right? It's such a cliche to say that bean counters make this decision. But if you're looking at an executive that's like, how do we make money? And they look at something which makes money and they're like, we'll do that. We'll do that thing which makes a lot of money. And maybe you can see the flaw in this thinking, because the video game landscape is littered with the corpses of games that tried to be World of Warcraft. In order to kill WoW, everyone was looking for the WoW killer. And it took me years to realize this as I tried these other games, and my friends would maybe try them for a month and they quit and go back to WoW. Maybe WoW was better, but I had a friend, my friend Tim said this to me. He's like, oh yeah. I was like, maybe, we should try out Aeon or something. Because like, I don't want to learn a new game, right? In order to quit WoW and do another game, you have to give up all the things that attach you to WoW. There's a community in WoW that you are attached to. You understand the game and you're successful with it. Maybe you're able to get a high arena rating or something. Or if you're playing Overwatch, you are able to have a rank. You know how to play the game. You know how the champions work. You know the game and you feel like you can be successful in it. For people who are excited to learn new games, hey, a new game is exciting, but what if you're not successful in it? You have to put in time to learn how the game works. And maybe you put in that time and your friends aren't playing anymore, so you lose that social aspect. So there's a huge amount of friction that goes to moving from one live service game to another. In one genre, people are usually playing one live service game. And in my experience, people are usually not playing more than one live service game in general. So if they play Overwatch, they're not going to add Highguard. They're going to stop playing Overwatch and start playing Highguard. And if Highguard doesn't seem good enough, they're going to stop playing Highguard and they're going to go back to Overwatch where all of their investment is. So kind of like, why do people have trouble quitting WoW? It's because that character is sitting there and that character has so much history and they've done so much. Even though the purples sitting in your bank are useless, like you can't use them in the game except for cosmetics or something, you're attached to them. You're attached to the idea of the character. You're attached to the memories. And quitting World of Warcraft means quitting this whole thing that you've invested. It's walking away from an investment of time, an investment of your life. People feel that about other live service games as well. So you have the Lindy and the losers. And you could probably say this about something like military shooters, like Call of Duty. There was like Call of Duty, and then Battlefield was kind of a competitor, but anyone that was trying to come out with something similar to that, there was just no point. No one was going to stop playing Call of Duty to play your game, right? You have to do something outside of those bounds. So the bean counter looks at something that's like, hey, these games make a lot of money. We'll just do one of those. And they throw a lot of money at it. And then it's not so much better than what people are already playing that they quit playing it. It has to not only be as good, it has to be better. And not only has to be better, it has to be so much better that people just forget about the old game and they play it. There was lots of people who quit playing EverQuest to play World of Warcraft because World of Warcraft was that good, especially when it launched. For a lot of people, World of Warcraft was the first MMO they played. World of Warcraft is what they were interested in. They weren't interested in the MMO genre in general. So it's the same idea. Whatever you're going to look at for other live service games, the same sort of thing is going to apply to this. And I can see this with Marathon as well, is that are people going to quit playing whatever game they're playing to play Marathon? Maybe. Are they going to stick with it? Maybe not. Is it going to be enough to overcome the costs of running the game on an ongoing basis or to pay back the development costs, because it has to be profitable enough to not only keep the servers on, but to eventually pay back all of the development costs? It's a big hill to climb, and the answer is probably not. So even 2 million people playing Highguard, it's not enough to make the game successful. But if you had 2 million players playing your indie game, that would be just like a runaway breakout success because the costs are so low. And the point where you are able to pay for it and be successful is just so much lower, right? It's so much lower when you have those low costs. But when you're talking about a huge AAA game with a massive budget, it has to be a number one. It has to be the most successful thing on the planet, or it's just not really worth it. And I will say this too, is that like the best metaphor that I could think of for this is, imagine you get a bunch of people together and you're like, how are we going to make a lot of money? And you look and you see Apple Computer and you're like, Apple makes a lot of money. So let's just make our own Apple. Let's just make a company that's like Apple. Well, what do? They make phones and they make some computers and stuff. So let's go make a bunch of phones and computers. How many phones and computers do we need to sell to be as successful as Apple? Well, we need to sell 100 million. Okay, so let's invest our money. We'll design some phones. We'll manufacture 100 million phones and we'll manufacture 50 million computers, and we'll just have to sell those, and then we'll be the next Apple. And so you go do that. You take out a loan for like $1 trillion and you manufacture all these computers, and you're like, why aren't people buying them? I don't understand. Why aren't people throwing their iPhones away and buying our phone? We have a phone, right? It's like, it would have to be so much better than the iPhone that people would just abandon that platform and all the software that they've bought on that platform, all the investment they've made on the App Store, and just go to your new phone. Probably not going to happen, right? But that's the play that these AAA companies are making with these live service games. Compare that to something that's just a single player game. If you look at, say, Dragon Age the Veilguard, which was not a successful game, I think, by the metrics of the studio, even if it didn't sell that well, they can keep selling that game forever. it's going to keep generating some revenue for the company basically indefinitely. So there's a little bit of a consolation prize for a game that isn't a big hit if it's just a standalone single player game. You don't really have to do that much ongoing maintenance to it. Maybe you update it every once in a while to run on newer hardware or something like that. Maybe you port it to like the next system or something, but you just don't have to pay like ongoing server costs like you do with a live service game. And plus, when you have something like Highguard or any of these live service games, they have this roadmap where they're promising future content. So you're not only paying for the servers, you're paying for continually developing the game the way you would in an MMO, where you're constantly developing new things for the game and giving them to the player to keep them playing, to keep them subscribed, to keep them plugged into the game. So making a game that's one and done, the game is done, you can sell that game forever. And it's the same thing with a book. I've seen so many people make this mistake in the book industries, because I sell books, in case you guys didn't know that, right? There's a bunch of them behind me. You can buy King Leper. What's the closest one? Buy Eyes in the Walls. You should buy Eyes in the Walls this time. It's a great horror book. Buy it. Anyway, they look and they're like, Harry Potter is really successful. So they copy Harry Potter. They make a book that's exactly like Harry Potter. They're like, well, I'll have a protagonist that has a scar on his forehead or is a magic, goes to magic school. And then they invest their life savings into making covers and marketing the thing, and no one buys the book. And they're like, what happened? Why didn't anyone buy the book? It's like, well, people don't need to buy your ripoff of Harry Potter. They can just read Harry Potter. You need to do something different from Harry Potter. But a lot of the genre fiction is just trying to file the serial numbers off of Harry Potter and give people more Harry Potter, or file the serial numbers off some, Lord of the Rings or something like that, and just trying to sell things that way. No, the reason those things were successful is that they were a little bit different when they came out. They met a different need. And when I'm thinking of games, the most successful game I could think of is Minecraft. It was an independent game. But was Minecraft crafted by bean counters that are like, how shall we make lots of money? Let's look at a game that already makes a lot of money and we'll make one of those. It's like, no. Notch made a game that was unique and interesting and fulfilled sort of his ideas about what might be an interesting and different kind of game, and boom, it becomes this mega success. So that's really what we should hope that AAA game companies do. But I think you run into the problem where it's sort of like blockbuster movies, is that the investment is so high, you can't take a lot of risks. Investors won't tolerate it. If you come in and you're like, we're going to do this game that no one's played, no one's seen anything like it before in their lives, and it'll be completely different. They'd be like, how do we know we're going to make money at this? We can't throw $100 million at this. We'll throw $100 million at the hero shooter. Well, because people are already making money with hero shooters, that's much lower risk than trying to do something unique. We can see that that's not the case. It's just, it's like kind of not understanding market segments when it comes to economics. They're just pretending that the market has no segments, and that the segments can just be, you could just add to it. It doesn't work that way. People, in order to play Highguard, they'd have to quit the other thing that they're doing. So that's what I wanted to say about with this. Do you guys think Marathon is going to be a big flop? My expectation is that it is. I think it's another thing to me like Concord, which is just a really hideous visual style. And the visual style, if you're looking at, is this a game that you want to invest time in? It's like, it looks so nauseating that I don't want to invest any time in it, even though I have a deep attachment to the franchise. I loved those Marathon games back in the 1990s. I thought they were great, and I loved the stories in them. I loved the sci-fi stories. They were very inspiring for me as a sci-fi writer. But yeah, I just don't see it happening with the new game. But you guys let me know. You let me know what's going to happen, and I will check you all next time. Have a great, great day. Boom. There's the album cover. Check it out. Listen to some music. You can find a link down below, and have a great, great day.